Hi everyone. What we're going to do today is we are going to make a optical art project. And so what you're going to need for today's project is you're going to need some sort of straight edge. That could be something like a ruler, or it could be another piece of paper, the straight edge of a book, anything you want, a piece of a box, something. And you're going to need either a pen or a pencil, something to make your lines with. And then if you have it available, you can use either markers, crayons, or colored pencils to add color to this project in the last step. So the first thing we're gonna need to do is you probably don't have a square piece of paper. So I wanna show you real quick how to transform a rectangular piece of paper into a square piece of paper. And what you need to do is you need to pay attention to the corners. So we're gonna start with this top corner and we're simply going to fold it down. Now, what I wanna do is I wanna get this edge here, that was my top edge. I want that to line up perfectly with this edge on the right. And so once I have that lined up, I'm gonna make a fold, okay? So I've got my fold, and then all we have to do is this extra piece, this little rectangle here, we have a triangle, and then we have a rectangle. This rectangle here, we're just going to fold up along there, unfold that. You can unfold this, and what you can see we have now is this, the two triangles have become a square, and then this piece here is all extra. And you can either use scissors to cut off that extra piece, or you can tear it by folding and making a crease and tearing that way. I have scissors, so I'm going to use those. Always be careful with your scissors. Just gonna cut right along that fold that we created, right across that way. And now I have a nice square piece of paper. If you want to try to get rid of that fold there, you can just fold it back in the other direction a little bit, sort of flatten out that crease. Okay, but it's all right if it's there either way. So now we have a square piece of paper and we can begin. So I'm gonna start with my pencils. All I need is one, so let me get one out of this box. And all I'm gonna do is I am going to make a smaller square inside this square. Now, I like to use a straight edge for that, so what I'm going to do is I am going to use this. You're just gonna make a little box. Try to get it close to the middle. And there we have the little box. Okay, now you see you have your four corners. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4 corners of our little box that we made. But we also have 1, 2, 3, 4 corners of our paper. And what you're gonna do is you're gonna make a curved line that is going to take one corner of a box, curve it, and bring it not to this corner, but to the one behind it. So you have to go in the same direction for each one. So you're going to simply go like that. There is our first, and I'll make that a little darker so you can see, our first one. Now what I recommend doing is churning your paper, so simply just rotate your paper, and that way you'll always be going from the same corner to the same corner, because it's going to be lined up. And it's also a good idea anytime that you're making art that you do this in the most comfortable way for your hand. That's the way that you're gonna get the best, most accurate lines. So there we go, one corner to one corner, rotate. And there we have our box and these lines. The next step for this project is we need to make sort of like those lines that go from here to here. So I'm gonna work in this piece first. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use my straight edge again. Again, this can be a ruler, whatever you have. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna line it up. I'm making lines from this line here to this line. And they're gonna be like they're going out and across. So the first one, I'm gonna line it up. I'm gonna go from here, start right in that corner, and I'm gonna go over, over. Sort of like it's making almost like little triangles. And as you get further away from the middle, these spaces can get further apart and wider. Notice in this area, I don't have this line anymore. What I would just do is go directly right off the edge of the paper. Okay, now again, just like before, we want to rotate and repeat. Okay, next one, rotate and repeat. Okay, and now for our final one. Okay, now I have finished making my outline for our project. It's the same pretty much all the way around, and then this is the final part where we are going to add in our colors. So you can use whatever you have, colored pencil, crayon, marker. What I do recommend first is taking a color, maybe like a black or something darker, and going over all of the lines that we've done so far so that it has a little outline. So before you add the color, you can go ahead and do that. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use black marker to be my outline. Okay, there we go. You have a choice here. You can fill in this square in the middle however you like. I was thinking I might try to do some sort of galaxy thing, so I was gonna take a couple of crayons first in like purples and just make some little swishes in here. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take my marker, because my marker is a wet substance, and I'm gonna try to go right on top of all of that. And it will cover up most of it, but it will leave some of it. Because marker and crayon don't like each other, so you get a little bit of the crayon showing through, which is kind of nice. And if you wanna see that a little more, you can just sort of blot So the next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pretty much switch into crayon for this. And what I'm gonna need to do is I'm gonna need to pick 4 different colors. So each one of these ladders, like here's one, here's another, here's another, here's another. Each one of those like twisted ladders that we created is gonna be a different color. You can choose whatever color you want. And again, as always, if you have another creative way that you wanna color this in and you wanna try, go ahead and try it, okay? So I'm going to use crayon, and I am simply going to stay inside the lines, use my 3-star coloring, which is stay inside the lines, fill in all the empty spaces, and absolutely no scribbling. So I like to go around the edges first, and I like to go a little darker along the edges, and then I like to go lightly on the inside. And I would do that for each one of these little spaces between our little ladder rungs. All right, now I'm gonna switch to another color. My favorite color, yellow, is what I'm gonna do next. And just follow the same process. If you don't have crayons or colored pencils, you won't, and you only have markers, you will not be able to do the darker edges. So just don't worry about that, but just focus on staying inside the lines. But if you have something like crayon or colored pencil, which you can really change the way the material looks by pressing down harder, then go ahead and do that. But if you don't have that capability, don't worry about it. Another thing, if you don't have anything with colors at all, what you can do is you can use your pencil and you can try pressing down in different weights. So sometimes it could be heavy, you press down harder and it would be a darker, blacker line, or you could press down lightly and it would just be a softer, lighter, whiter line. So you could play around with that. Or what you could do is you could do alternating colors. So like, for example, this one could be filled in, this one could be empty, this one could be filled in, this one could be empty, filled in, empty, filled in, empty. And you would do that for all of those. So there are lots of variations. Be a little bit of an inventor and an artist and try them out. See what you can create. And then don't forget, always just share your work with me. You can email it to me. I love to see what your ideas are and what you create. You might think of something that I never had a clue to do. All right, and there we have it. My completed work of art. Go ahead and send those to me when you've done them. I cannot wait to see what you do, and keep making art.